So, Marina, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Where are you broadcasting from today, Marina?
I am broadcasting from Barcelona, Spain.
Good, good for you. Well, I'm flying over to Europe myself next week. Barcelona is not on the schedule, but you're lucky to live there. It's a beautiful city.
Thank
Go ahead
you.
and get your PowerPoint up, and we'll make sure everything is working. Marina is known as the trader chick, and I've known her for many years. She specializes in helping people day trade with confidence and ease, simplifying the process by completely breaking down the art of identifying high probability trade setups. She will show you how simple it can be to read the markets like a pro. So, Marina, I see a trader chick there, simplifying day trading. You have until 5 minutes before the hour when we hand out our next batch of prizes. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and you have the floor.
Okay, well, thank you. So, something just really interesting watching your video about the fight. Oh my God, it's a tongue twister. My grandfather was a pilot and my uncle in the Soviet Union Army, and they used to fly these types of jets that you were showing. And before my grandpa's death, like 30 years ago, he came to the United States and he went to one of these really, really special, unique I guess jet fighters, like old from the World War II. It was this huge, beautiful event, and that was one of his most, I don't know, like his last most incredible event that he attended before he died. So this was actually a really beautifully nostalgic video watching you show that just now. Anyways, that was a big surprise. Not expecting something like that for a
Well, let me tell you
Traders
a story
Expo.
about that. When I lived in England, there were only 15 Spitfires flying in the world. And then the Soviet Union collapsed. During World War II, England gave the Soviet Union 1,000 Spitfires. And as soon as the Cold War ended, airplane enthusiasts scoured England for these old Spitfires, which were all sitting around in hangars somewhere. And now the number of flying Spitfires in the world is 75. And guess what?
That's
There's a
amazing.
shortage of Spitfire pilots.
But what's funny is my uncle, he's 70 years old and he didn't fight obviously in World War II, but I don't know, like one of those wars. Anyways, and he was the main pilot for a certain kind of a jet that only I think 10 in the world exist. And now he lives in the United States. They moved there like 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And he was invited to talk at one of these events because he was one of the only people in the world to have flown one of these jets. Yeah, this is just really amazing. Like this is so nostalgic for me. So yeah. What a beautiful way to start this
Well, you
whole
make
thing.
money
That's
in
a
the
really
market, you
incredible
can
story.
pursue any hobby you want, even becoming a fighter pilot yourself.
Well, no, I have no interest in that. It was just really cool listening to my uncle's stories and knowing that it was my grandpa's last big thing that he did. Um, and right before the Soviet Union fell. So he actually saw that literally right before the Soviet Union fell. Lots of stories, lots of history there. All right, well, yeah. So there you go. Anybody can begin at any age to start day trading as well. So there you go. Well, hi
I'm going to
everybody,
go ahead and mute
and
myself. You have the floor.
thank you. Hi everybody. Thanks so much for joining and yeah, and being part of this really cool event. It is definitely a very interesting event. So I am Marina, the Trader Chick, and here I am. And today I would love to talk to you guys and cover with you guys all things about understanding about day trading, about investing, about things that we overlook when we first begin, and not even when we first begin, actually, when we are actually doing this, a lot of times we simply overlook some things that can make the entire process much easier because a lot of times we get caught up in things that we don't understand, and all it is just simply understanding the beginnings of it. So, anyways, I will be talking a lot about that today. So, before I do jump into the presentation, I do want to give an official intro and some fun facts. I am Marina, the Trader Chick, and as I mentioned to John, I am in Barcelona. We have now been living in Barcelona for over 3 years, but me and my family have been expats for over almost 25 years at this point. It's kind of crazy. We lived in Costa Rica and in Guatemala for 20 years before moving to Barcelona. And like anybody could become a day trader at any age, I always like to show my example. I was a fitness instructor before I became a day trader. So anyone can truly become a successful day trader. And that is the best part about day trading. Also, you can work from anywhere in the world. That is the other really, really cool thing about day trading is that you don't need to be in a specific place anymore. The internet is phenomenal anywhere you go. And I have traded from incredibly remote areas. Interestingly enough, we lived in Guatemala for 14 years, where that's where I actually began trading. And I remember going to visit my family in New York, and the internet in New York was worse than in Guatemala. So there's really no excuse for people to not trade from anywhere in the world and have a blast doing it. So definitely don't let that keep you from traveling the world because you could trade and travel anywhere. And honestly, me and my family, we travel 3 to 4 months out of every single year. And as much as I would love to be a trust fund baby or a trust fund child, I am not any of those. So I do work and you could do it from anywhere. So with day trading, you could literally just travel wherever you want to go with your laptop. So before I hop into the entire presentation, I know that we only have a certain amount of time together. So that's why I would love to give you the entire presentation completely for free. So please go here to makingofadaytrader.com, makingofadaytrader.com. You can download the entire presentation and then follow along completely for free. And I know that you will be able to also get a replay of this, so you'll be able to follow along as well. So go to the URL makingofadaytrader.com, and then you could join along. So I want to get into a few things to kind of have people understand a little bit better. For example, whenever I tell people that I day trade, they always say to me, "Oh, I wish I learned how to invest." So the thing about day trading is that it's literally not investing. I actually always say I day trade to invest my money after. So it's not really the same exact thing, right? So that's one of the things that we really need to understand. Why is it not investing? So, unlike investing, day trading, you do not want to diversify. As a matter of fact, the more you completely focus on one or two financial instruments or markets, the more money you will earn. Versus when you're investing, you want to be able to have a robust and versatile and diversified portfolio. You don't want to do that when you are day trading. Also, this is kind of important for you to understand with day trading. So, interestingly enough, the financial markets, they're actually called instruments, right? When you trade anything, it is a financial instrument. So, I want to give you an example of how this works. Imagine your child coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I want to learn how to play a musical instrument." So you're like, "Okay, what do you want to play?" And they say to you, "All right, well, I want to play the violin, the flute, the piano, and the drums." And you're thinking to yourself, "Wow, these are really different. Like it's not possible." So you tell your child, oops, hang on a second. You tell your child, all right, just choose the one instrument so that you could become a master of it. And then, if you want to, you could move on to the next ones. And this is actually the exact same thing for financial markets and the financial instruments. When you really master one market, one instrument, a lot of times I've found students that have taken my classes have realized that they don't even want to learn others because they're making a good amount of money. They're doing it within a 30-minute to 1 hour time span, and then they have their whole day available to them because there's this really difficult understanding that you need to sit in front of your charts all day, and the human mind simply cannot handle that, right? So we actually want to be able to day trade only for a short period of time so that we can enjoy the rest of our day to do whatever else we love to do. Okay. The other thing with investing is that once you invest the money into whichever company you choose, you are okay with it going through its ups and downs, right? So, for instance, if you're investing in Apple, chances are you are totally okay with waiting while the next product comes out. Meanwhile, the market might fluctuate, right? However, if you are day trading, you do care if the market is going up or down because you only want to focus on what's in front of you right there. And the cool thing is, we make money going up or down. So we also don't care what is in the longer term, right? We don't care if Apple is coming out with a product in 2 months because we are only looking at the technical analysis of the day right in front of us. All right, so that is a really important thing for you to understand the difference between investing and day trading. Do not diversify. Trust me, it will actually work against you. Now, I want us to bust some myths because this is something that is really important. I found that when you have misconceptions, when you have limiting beliefs of whatever it is that you are figuring out and learning how to do, you are going to get blocked and not be able to move to the next level. Well, day trading is no different. Okay, so I want to bust some of these myths because I believe once we bust these myths, it's going to like open the floodgates and you will be able to go to the next level with your trading for sure. So first and foremost, that it's too risky, that day trading is gambling. Well, the reality is going back to jets. If you want to become a jet fight flyer, whatever, a pilot, a pilot of a jet, chances are you're not going to decide right now and then tomorrow hop into a jet. There is an entire learning process, right? You need to do simulation hours, you need to do work with your flight instructor. There's all these things, right? However, if I do say, oh, you know what, I'm going to be a jet fight flyer tomorrow, I'm going to hop in and go, everybody in here knows that that is just absolutely ridiculous. It's a kamikaze mission if by any chance I do take off and start to fly, right? So the risk is insane. However, if I went to flight school, if I did my hours, if I really learn and put in the time, chances are the risk is diminished by a lot. It's the same thing with day trading, right? You can't just say you're going to put money in and trade and then the next day expect to become a millionaire. If it was that easy, we'd all be doing it, right? There is a strategy. And when you do this, when you start to learn the strategy, when you start to minimize your risk, when you start to understand that you can and you do have full control of the risk that you put on the table, everything changes, right? You're not going to be losing, and it's not that risky anymore because you are now in control of what you are doing. The other thing is, and to me, this is actually a shock that this is still a thing, but one of my students the other day wrote me asking why their brokers are insisting that he has $25,000 in his account. And that is a complete and total misconception, lie, whatever you want to call it. The reason why this even existed at one point was for margin accounts. So what does that mean? It means if you have $25,000, your broker account is going to tell you that you are now eligible for a margin account. And a lot of people actually think that it's almost obligatory when it's definitely not. So what is a margin account? Basically, they're just lending you money. I call it loan sharking because what it is they lend you up to a certain amount of money. So once you use up your 25,000, then you're going to go and take out money from them and they don't care if you win or lose because you have to first of all return that money and secondly, you have to pay interest on that money. So first of all, you do not need $25,000. You can literally start with $500 today and never go for the margin account, guys. You do not need to have a margin account. The other big misconception is that you need to be a math whiz or have a financial background. None of these are true. I never even look at the numbers. There's nothing to do with numbers for me at all. It is 100% technical analysis. The only times I look at any number is with the profits or the losses, and you could literally use a calculator for that. You do not need to have math background or a financial background, okay? And the other thing is that it's really stressful and chaotic. Well, if you're sitting in front of this kind of stuff, who wouldn't be stressed out? This is not possible. The human mind is not capable of managing this much information, and it is completely unsustainable. And within a month or two, you're not going to be able to do much more. I personally trade with one chart. I have one chart, nothing more, two indicators. That's it. This way, I'm also able to travel all over the world. I could do whatever I want with just my laptop and that one chart. Okay. And the other misconception is that you are constantly in need of softwares and indicators and algorithms. Really? No, you don't. No, you don't, because once you have a really strong platform, and you definitely need a good platform to trade, it's kind of like if you want to be a Formula One driver, you can't go in a minivan, right? You need the proper vehicle. So, good, strong platform is really important in that way. So that is something that is really important, you guys, to understand. When you do have the software, the platform, you have access to free universal indicators and algorithms. You do not need to buy extras. Please understand that. It does not give you any foot up, any edge at all. Okay. And research and news. So there is this thing called, buy on the rumors, sell on the news. However, the majority of the news is pretty much just melodrama, right? It has nothing to do with what's going on with the actual market. And you could be thinking that, you could be looking at the fundamentals and they're great. Meanwhile, the stock or the position is either tanking or doing really well, to the contrary of what's in front of you. Because you don't need to know any of this information, because a lot of it is completely unaligned, right? So when you're doing this market research, just remember it's not good. However, what is going to be the best thing for you to do, that is called technical analysis. When you understand and read technical analysis, that is all you will ever need for trading. All right, so this is a massive thing. Trigger happiness over trading. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in this position, but let me tell you, I have. When I first began almost 14 years ago, I was taking like 40 to 60 trades per session. I mean, it did not matter if I won or lost. I was getting eaten alive just on the commissions alone. So, one thing I did realize when I started to trade and trade well was professional traders, they're like big game hunters. What does that mean? If you think of a big game hunter, if they go hunting for the day, are they going to be shooting little prairie dogs and field mice? No, they're sitting around and they are patiently waiting for the big prey, right? So, the same exact thing when it comes to professional traders. One thing that you will recognize is 1 to 3 trades per day is a really good day. And those trades are very strategic and they're usually very high probability. Okay, so this is really, really important, guys, for you to understand that this is not necessary. And also, the most radical way to trade is to be a conservative trader, because small profits on a daily basis will bring you those big profits for the year. And it will also help you become a consistent trader, meaning that you will be consistently earning money and being profitable. That's really what the goal is, right? We want to be consistently profitable and taking the right decisions, making the right decisions. So this is a term that I personally coined FOMAT, fear of missing a trade. I don't know if you guys have ever seen surfers. So imagine you're at, you just arrived to go out surfing. And as you're putting on your wetsuit and getting your board on you, you're spotting the most perfect wave. Are you going to jump from the shore into the water, paddle like a maniac to catch a wave that's most likely going to be over by the time you get there? Absolutely not, right? It's the same thing with trades. A lot of times people spot a good trade a little bit too late because they were talking on the phone or they were talking with somebody else or they were in the bathroom. And what happens is they start to chase that trade. And of course, once they start to chase the trade, now your mind has shifted into emotional trading. So you're not making wise, valid decisions anymore. Okay. This is something that you need to understand. There is always, always going to be another trade. Always. Just imagine when you get caught up in that, and a lot of us do, think, wait, is this really going to be the last trade ever? No, but because there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, more trades in the next couple of days. So you need to let them go. All right. So I coined this FOMAT, just like just like FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of missing a trade. Guys, don't have any fear. There's always another trade coming. Now, a lot of times people come to me who want to learn how to trade and they don't really know what to trade. And the thing is, there are 5 markets that you could focus on. And once again, if you get anything from this presentation, find the one market. So what are the different markets to trade? So if you like Forex, which is the foreign exchange, so what is that? That is what you're doing is you are trading pairs, right? Let's say US with the euro or the US with the yen. So you are looking at the pairs of currencies, one up stacked against the other. Okay? So again, if you are going to go this route, and I know a lot of people do, don't overdo it. Maybe go 1 or 2 different pairs. I would not recommend more than 2 pairs because again, a lot of it is hype, right? A lot of it is based on what the leaders of those countries are doing and how they feel towards each other. And that could affect it way more than what is actually truly happening with the currency that you are looking at. But you want to be focused on that. And if you have too many currencies going on, your focus will be diluted. All right. Then we have equities. I love it when people say to me, when I ask people, what do you trade? They're like, oh, I trade equities. Well, there's like 5,000 equities on the US market alone, right? So when you're telling me you trade stocks, that just shows me that you're an amateur. So what exactly does a professional do? For example, a professional will focus maybe only on sectors, pharmaceuticals, entertainment, medical, technology, or they will go for the big caps, the small caps. Some people today are just literally having the best time just trading certain positions, maybe just Tesla, maybe just Meta, maybe just Microsoft, because they are such highly volatile, so much volume moving on in those particular stocks that it's great fun just to focus on those. Futures. This is another one. People are like, oh, I trade futures. Really? I mean, like, are you trading wheat? Are you trading the S&P 500? Are you trading crude? Because they're all so different. You do not, just because they're under the umbrella of futures and commodities, does not make them similar in strategy. You need to choose the right one. You need to choose the one that you enjoy watching the most versus the one that everybody's telling you to watch. Okay, super important. And options is the same. Guys, decide if you want to focus on options and then really figure it out. And of course, we have crypto, right? Crypto is still an emerging market. It's still incredibly erratic with ups and massive downs. And also, when you're thinking of crypto, remember, Bitcoin is one of the cryptocurrencies. There are over 6,000 cryptocurrencies and projects that you could be involved with. So you need to figure out what it is that you want to do the most, okay? And then start your trading journey. Now, once you figured out what you want to trade, that is when you go and look for a broker. So I'm going to demystify the whole broker thing in the first place. A lot of people get this misconception that you need a broker first to get started. But if you don't know what you're going to get started on, you don't want to go with the wrong broker, right? So if you want to do crypto, are you going to go with an equities broker? No, because the crypto exchanges, they will give you the best rates, they will give you the best feed. They are very specialized for crypto, right? Versus equities, that yes, there are a lot of equities brokers right now that are adding in crypto and futures because they don't want to be left out, but that's not their specialty. And on top of that, you'll be charged so much more. And like I mentioned before, guys, stay away from those margin calls, from those margin accounts. You do not need them. You do not need a margin account. Now, once you figured out what you want to trade, once you are starting to look for the right broker, you need to understand their commissions. Because again, if you are trading futures, you want to trade futures, but you're with an equities broker, you're going to be charged a lot more. So if you go to a specialized broker that focuses only on futures, you're going to get the best commissions and also the best live feed and quotes for that feed. Okay, you cannot be on delayed feed. You just cannot do that, guys. It's important to be in the live, in the moment feed. All right, as I mentioned before, platform. You cannot drive a minivan in a Formula One race, guys. You cannot be a trader without a good platform. It is just not going to happen. So you need to decide. And today there are so many amazing platforms that you can work with. So I really recommend just looking for the best one. So one thing that I see very often is everything we do in life, it doesn't matter if you are a Formula One driver, if you are a janitor, if you are a pilot, if you are a doctor, everybody has their own lingo, right? There's a certain lingo that everybody has that could communicate with one another and you'll understand what they're saying, even though to the outside world might sound a little bit different. So this is exactly what is with financial markets. And it always amazes me to see the amount of people that are putting their hard-earned money into the live market and not even understanding the basic vocabulary of what they are doing. First and foremost, intraday trading. Again, we're going to go back to what is intraday trading? It's literally being in and out of all of your positions in the same day versus swing trading when you hold the position a little bit longer, overnight, maybe even up to 3 weeks or maybe more. So here's the thing. When you are intraday trading, you need to be looking at that time frame. Looking at a week's time frame when you're intraday trading is not going to work for you, right? It's not going to help. However, if you are understanding that you are an intraday trader, then you'll be looking at the 1 minute charts, you'll be looking at the 5 minute charts. You will be more in tune with the time frame that you need. So if you're a swing trader, you could then look at the 1 day charts or even a 1 week chart because that is more in what you are focusing with, okay? So simple stuff, guys. Bull market literally means the market is moving up. Bear market, the market is moving down. And then we have trends. So there's actually three trends. There are three types of trends: the upward trend, the downward trend, and the sideways trend. So a lot of people just understand that there are two, the up and the down. However, it's very, very important to understand that the sideways market is actually where the majority of the money gets lost. Why? Because this is a place where people don't really look at it as something to hold you back. But when it is an indecisive area, when there's no decision and it's flatlining, you need to step back and not put any money into those areas. the majority of people, probably 90% of the people, end up losing all of their money in these areas. All right, so let's talk about profit targets and risk management. To me, they are both equally important. Why? So when you are day trading, you are going in for smaller targets. So first, you want to make sure that you tell the market about the risk management, and it has to be a real risk management put in. It cannot be a mental stop, okay? Mental stops are like mental seatbelts. When you think that you're going to save your kid without a seatbelt in an accident, it's never going to happen, right? So risk management is you're telling the market, this is all I am willing to risk on this trade. And the market respects that. Also, the profit target. To me, profit targets are just as important because as with risk management, which the ego could take over, for profit targets, the greed can take over. So you could put in an idea of a profit, and then when the market is going in a direction, you remove it saying, oh, it's going to continue, it's going to continue. And guess what? You strategically put in that target profit, boom, it hits it. You would have been filled. Instead, it now turned back, and now you're stressing out because now it's going in the opposite direction. You remove your regular stop, and all just falls apart quite quickly, right? And this could all be done from the charts that you are working with. Today, you can do everything from the chart, including with your brokers. And how do you do that? You work with it with indicators. Indicators are so important. Why? Because they gauge us, they help us understand certain things, but you don't need to go crazy with your indicators. One thing I recognized when I was first starting out 14 years ago, I had over 10 indicators. I was in constant analysis paralysis because there was just too many things going on. The other thing is, we like to listen to all these different gurus who recommend this indicator or they recommend that indicator. But at the end of the day, one thing that I realized when I had 10 indicators and I removed them all, I removed every one of my indicators because I was just so burnt out. I quit. It was awful. But what I started to do is I started to put in indicators one at a time to see what my reaction was. And interestingly enough, like when I had the Fibonacci's, the Bollinger, and the Kettler bands in there, those were the ones I hated the most. And once I removed them, everything changed for me. You don't need to do something that you think that you should be because somebody else is doing it like that. You need to do what works for you. All right, like I mentioned before, the trending markets. It's so important to know where that trend comes to an end. And it could continue going flat until it breaks out, or it can transition entirely. But you need to be able to be on the right side of it, okay? All right, so now instead of just a market buy, oh, sorry, this is buying. First of all, what is buying and going long? Literally, the simple answer, you enter low, exit high, and take the profit in between. Enter low, exit high, take the profit in between. You are buying. You are going long. Okay? The next position is the sell or the short. Okay? When you are selling or shorting the market. Once again, guys, you need to understand what is selling. Literally, what it is you are entering high, exiting low, and you're taking the profit in between. Don't overthink the difference, okay? Now, market entry. This is so important. A lot of people who are amateurs are looking at the charts and they're like, oh, the market's looking great. Okay, it's going to continue. It's going up. I'm going to jump in. Zero understanding why, just because the market looks like it's going up. And guess what? The market, first of all, when you're entering a market entry, it finds you. It's called slippage. So instead of you entering at one price point, you're going to lose 20% and enter 20% at a different price point that you did not want because that was a market entry. However, if you do like a limit order or if you put in a order waiting, you are telling the market when you want it to fill you. the price that you want to enter the market. That is such an important thing. And you can do this all from your charts. Let's go back to the stop limit because I know for a fact a lot of people, and I was in that same boat, we have these mental stops. Under the most direst pressure when the market is losing, do you really think we're going to come to a valid mindset and go for the pressing the target to stop us out? Chances are we are going to let that baby ride and empty out our accounts. I've been there, I've done it twice. Okay? Please understand you can do the risk management. All right, I've been talking about technical analysis. This to me is my absolute favorite. I love technical analysis. Why? It's super easy to understand once you understand what you're looking at, and it's free. It can be done on any charting software with any indicator with any financial instrument. But you do have to understand what is the technical analysis. So the first thing is the two most important things of all, the resistance and the support area. These are the two most absolutely important areas to understand. So what is a resistance area? Imagine the market is going up and all of a sudden, boom, it starts to hit a ceiling. One, two, three, and more times. What are you going to do? How are you going to know it's a ceiling? Because you're going to draw that resistance area in. Once you draw that area in, then you start to understand that this is an area the market is respecting. And it could either bounce off and change direction, or it could give you a breakout. But you don't want to be guessing. You want to sit out and wait to see what happens. And the support area is the exact same thing, only on a downward trend. When it goes into the floor and it starts to hit the floor. Okay, it's the same thing as before. It's starting to hit the floor. And reversal patterns. To me, reversal patterns are by far the best indicators for me. Why? Are they 100% indicative of reversals? No, not at all. On the contrary, what they are showing me is a very high potential of a reversal, but 100% fact that the market has completely slowed down and that the market is losing its steam. I never want to be in a market that is losing its steam. Guys, you don't want to be putting your hard-earned money into a market that is not moving forward or is indecisive. Okay? And divergence. Divergence is my personal holy grail. I love divergence. So as you can see here, the price action is going in one direction and my MACDs are going in the opposite direction. Okay, that is divergence. What does it mean? 100% the fact that the market is slowing down, it is losing its strength. And until I get a non-divergent result, I am not touching that market because right now I don't know what it's going to do. It could reverse, it could stop, it could go into a flat zone. I don't know, but and when I don't know, I don't want to be putting my money into a guessing game. I want to make sure I understand what is happening in front of me. Now, let's put all of this together. As I mentioned before, you could get the entire presentation makingofadaytrader.com, makingofadaytrader.com. Go there, you can get it for free, and then you could go over it on your own. You could even write to me and ask for help. I'm super happy to help you guys with any of the questions you'll have. But just go to makingofadaytrader.com and you'll get the entire presentation for free. All right, so I want to put all this together because one of the most powerful trades that you could possibly have, it is called the breakout trade, right? We all know that the breakout trades are some of the most powerful trades. However, if you don't know what you're looking for, how are you going to spot that breakout trade, right? So if you don't have your resistance or support areas drawn out, you're not going to be able to understand when that's happening. So what is a breakout trade? So basically what it is the market is going in one direction, right? And all of a sudden it's a flat area. It's not, there's no movement. It's completely flat. It's indecisive. And all of a sudden that area is broken and it continues in the same direction. That is a breakout trade. Okay, so you go in one direction, you get a flat line, and then boom, it continues in the same direction. That is the breakout trade. Okay, and once you understand the breakouts trades,
Okay. I just
then
logged
you'll
in
be able to
here.
spot them.
All right, we'll
Hello?
see how it goes.
Hello? Oh, okay. So resistance area, guys. Once you spot it, boom, here is the breakout trade. Okay, once you understand, and if you look here, so here's my resistance area, and then look at the MACDs. So the MACDs have this black dashed line. That black dashed line, that's the zero line. What it means technically is that there is absolutely no strength in the market, right? So when there's no strength in the market, you don't want to be putting your money in there. But look at what happens after you have that area drawn in, and then boom, the market breaks out. Look at my MACDs. There is massive movement above the black line, massive movement here. This is when I get the confirmation that this is a great trade. But if you're not checking out the technical analysis, it's going to be really hard for you to understand what to do. So again, makingofadaytrader.com. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. We have absolutely everything we need to take action, right? We have these amazing summits. We have different chat rooms. We have YouTubers. We have different gurus. We have books, podcasts. We have everything that we need. But at the end of the day, how do you know that you are doing it right? How do you know that you're doing it right? Because all of this is great, but the real question I get asked is usually, how do I even get started? Like all this information is going to me, but then how do I actually get started? And this usually is not from beginners, interestingly enough. I get this from people that have been trading for a while and are not consistently making money. Okay. And they ask me, what can I do to turn this around to be profitable consistently? Right? This is what they do. They ask me, what can I do to turn this around to be profitable consistently? And usually, interestingly enough, it all starts with lacking understanding of the basics, right? So, for example, if you get into a car, we tend to forget that when we first sat down in the car, we needed to understand the basics of a car. Where's the steering wheel? Where's the gear shift? Where's the clutch? Where's the brake? Where's the accelerator? Where are the blinkers and the lights? This is basics, right? Without those basics, we cannot drive safely, right? But once you learn it, it's now pretty automatic for us, right? But somebody at one point had to teach this to us. Now, I want you guys to be really, really creative here. Imagine somebody gets into your car who has never been in a car, who has never seen the inside of a car, and you tell them, "All right, buckle up. It's going to save your life." And they're looking around and they don't know what they need to buckle up because they've never been shown, right? But the second you show them a seatbelt, which takes a minute and like a second, boom, not only are you showing them what a seatbelt is, but you're also teaching them something that could help them save their lives, right? So again, we need to be taught these things. We are never born with these things. And this was my own personal sad truth. I spent over $20,000 on my own trainings, and I was struggling for years because here I was sitting in these chat rooms and I was in all these different classes, but nobody ever taught the basics. And every time I would ask about the basics, I would be either treated as if I was born with that information or completely ignored. And of course, I was losing money because I didn't understand. And I ended up losing almost $4,000 within a 5 minute span. I was sitting in this room and one of the moderators was saying, "Oh, look at this great trade. I've been doing this for 2 years." And I was still not able to understand why they were doing that trade because I was never taught to look for the basics. And guess what? I lost big. And at that point, it wasn't even the money, but I just lost complete confidence in myself. I felt completely defeated. I felt like a loser. And you know what I did? I quit. I walked away because it was just too much. I was losing all this money from my family. I walked away. But the interesting thing is we are all here for a reason, right? We are all bit by the trading bug, right? We're all bit by the trading bug and it never stops itching. And do you know why? Because I quit for about 4 months. And one thing that I have to say is that I was constantly watching others still. I could not stay away from watching others. And all I kept on saying to myself was, if they can do it, so can I. Because deep down inside, we all know that we can do this and we can be pro traders. That is the beautiful thing about trading, is that anybody can do it. And I decided to come back. But this time, what I did, first of all, I had 10 indicators and I was also on 3 different monitors. So what I did was I literally donated 2 of my high definition monitors to the garbage men, and I removed all my indicators and finally brought in only 2 indicators that worked well for me. And then I studied the basics and I learned them for years. And a couple of years ago, one of my students told me, he's like, Marina, your philosophy and teaching style is very similar to Coach John Wooden. So if none of you guys have ever heard of Coach John Wooden, and I'd be honest with you, when he told me that, I never even heard of the guy. Of course, I had to Google him. So this was a legendary coach, legendary. And his entire philosophy, his entire coaching system was, when in doubt, get back to the basics. And I mean, he led his teams to win 88 national championships, 10 NCAAs. He had absolute all-star players. Yet every season, it did not matter what you won the season before because your ego is going to get the best of you. So every season, he would start with the basics: how to tie your shoe, how to roll up your sock, how to dribble the ball. Because if you're on that court and your shoe is untied, boom, you could either get a really bad blister, or even worse, you could sprain your ankle and be out for the season. So you have to get back to the basics. And today I have a very special offer for participants only. My introductory course, Bootcamp for Day Trading. You can do this on any apparatus: laptop, desktop, phones, tablets, any apparatuses. And all of this for a one-time price of $97. All right, guys, I want you to go here, bootcampfordaytrading.com, bootcampfordaytrading.com. So I'm going to show you right here, bootcampfordaytrading.com. So you can follow along with me here. And I'm going to put in the link right here so you guys could follow along with me. This way you can see exactly what is being offered. All right, first and foremost, what is it that you could get for $97 today that will bring you a similar return on investment? Do you like to play golf? Because me and my husband, when we were living in Guatemala, when we first moved there a long time ago, it was like $27 per person. Before we left, it was $167 per person to play golf. And that's Guatemala. I'm not even talking about, first world countries. You want to take your family out to lunch or dinner? I don't know about you guys. Me and my husband went out the other night for just the 2 of us with a bottle of wine, and it was definitely over 100 euros just for the both of us. And we did not go to a Michelin star restaurant. So again, $97. Let me break this down for you, what you guys are going to be getting for the $97. First of all, I kept on talking about platforms, and I know platforms could be a bottleneck for a lot of people. So because I've been around for so long, I've been doing this for so long, I know pretty much every platform, and I help out with a tutorial to help set you up with those platforms so you don't have to worry about it. And we can get into the good stuff, which is trading, right? And we go over the anatomies of the trading process. We talk about the trends and the movements, the upward trend, downward trend, and we really focus on understanding the sideways trend, how to avoid it, and how to catch it right when it finally breaks through. Also, we talk about reversals and divergences. because those are the telltale signs. For me, divergence is the holy grail. But if you don't know where to spot it, you're not going to be able to understand how to use it properly. And this is everything that we go over in the course. And of course, mastering the breakout, we have an entire module about breakout mastery and also avoiding and spotting the fake out breakout. So those happen, right? So we can completely and totally avoid the fake out breakout. And of course, you get access to the curriculum unlimited for life. All of this is valued at $1,600. And here you have, again, everything that is included in here, understanding the areas, resistance, support, divergences, reversal areas, the breakout trade, all of this is included. Here's what some of my students have to say. And I have students from all over the world because that's the great part about trading. You could do it from anywhere in the world. It does not matter where you live or where you are traveling to. Michelle, best money ever spent. The boot camp is amazing. I just finished doing it. Derek, you're the only mentor that truly checks the work. Absolutely amazing. Adrian, I am learning and enjoying from boot camp every single day. Now, I remember asking you guys one question, and I want you to kind of go over it in your mind once more. And this is really important. How do you know you are doing it right? How do you know you're doing it right? Who is there to support you and to talk it out with you? So this is one of the most important things that has helped me was a mentor, a one-on-one mentorship. And I am offering in this one-time $97 fee, one entire month of mentorship with me unlimited. You could ask me as many questions as you want. We could have one-on-one talks, unlimited, and that is included for 1 month in your thing. Because having a mentor could be the one that can take you to that next level. And I also have a live chat room where it's me, no moderators, no administrators that are sitting in the room, where we implement everything we are learning in the live market, looking at the live market, looking at the live trades. This is on top of the mentorship. Okay, all of this is valued at $2,600. All of it is $97. So go here, bootcampfordaytrading.com, and here's what you guys will be getting. Everything in the course. 30 days one-on-one unlimited mentorship with me and 30 days live chat room in the membership. Okay? All of this is worth less than one price of a trade. I personally spend between $200 to $400 per trade. This is $97, guys. You could get 10x return on your investment from all the education and the working hand one-on-one with me. And then you could go to 100 of these dinners. But here's the thing. Because of the mentorship, I only have room for a certain amount of people. Okay, and it usually sells out really fast, especially because I see that this is a really full room. So when I have really full rooms, I sell out quite quickly. Again, because of my mentorship, I'm only able to give so much attention. So again, go right here. So bootcamp for daytrading.com. This is the order form right here. As you can see here, one-time price of $97. You can do a payment plan of $59. However, you will automatically get instant access to absolutely everything with the first payment. So it's the same thing. And everything, as I said, is included right here. Okay? So bootcamp for daytrading.com. Let's go here together. You guys could check it out right here. Bootcamp for daytrading.com. Let me know, guys, if there's any questions or anything at all. And I really am so super grateful for you guys to spend this time with me here today. And thank you. I really, really deeply mean that because time is our most rare commodity. And the fact that you were able to give me that time now, I truly appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. And thanks so much, John and Sebastian, for having me.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Marina. We always love listening to your presentations, and I'm sure the listeners do too. Just a reminder to take advantage of Marina's offer. Look in the chat box on the right. You'll see a blue link. Marina Villatoro dot
Oh, it's
thrive.
just boot camp for day trading. Yeah.
Oh,
Boot camp
oh,
for day trading.
okay. Well, thank you very much. And again, I'd love to have you
Thank
back in
you.
September with our next
Yeah.
summit. And
And have a great time in Europe.
hopefully I'll run into you sometime in Europe.
Definitely. Would love that. Bye,
Uh,
everybody. Thank you so much, everyone.